Hello everyone, welcome back to our modern operating system and computer network. Myself Dr. Madhivanandurai, currently working as an assistant professor in the Department of School of Computer Science and Artificial Intelligence in SR University at Warangal. So today discussion is based on this data link layer, design issues, framing, switching, and error detection with correction as well. So in the previous lecture, we already discussed the data link layer. In the OSI model, data link layer is mounted as a second layer. It's over the physical layer. The data link layer is responsible for the maintaining the data link between the two host and nodes. So the data link layer is divided mainly in two sublayers. So one is a logical link control sublayer. So what is the role of logical link control sublayer? It provides a logical for data links, thus it controls the synchronizations and flow control of data and error checking functions of data link layer while transferring the data from sender to receiver or host to node. So what is the major functions while transferring the data in the data link layer? While the major data link layer as a logical link controls, like it need to check the error recovery, and it performs the flow control operations and user addresses. Also it should be checked while transferring the data. Whereas the media access control sublayer, this is a second layer of in the data link layer. So is the role like it's a second layer of the data link layer. It controls the flow and multiplexing for transmission mediums. So coming to the transmissions of data packets, it's controlled by this layer. So this layer is responsible for sending data over the network interface card. So coming to the functions or major functions of media access control sublayer, we call this as MAC. To perform the control of access of media, then it performs the unique addressing to session directly controls to LAN, and detection of errors also it should be support. Coming to the data link layer design issues, what are the design issues we will facing in the data link layer? So the data link layer is in the OSI model. It it is between the physical layer and the network layers, because it mounted over the physical layer and belongs to the network layer. So this layer convert the raw transmission files or facility, provide the physical layer to the reliable and error-free link as well. So the primary responsibility, like in the data link layer, it ensure the reliable node-to-node data transfer with ensure the effect-free transmission of informations. So effect free is nothing but the data should be communicate between the one to another with the effectively with a fast manner without any losses of data. So it also responsible for the encoding and decoding and organizing the out, outing and incoming data. So, which means what are the data should be transferred from one to another or sender to receiver or node to node. The data should be encrypted, which means the file should not be easily accessible or readable to the some other persons. So that before sending to the data, first it should be read, and for data should be formatted as a encoding format. Then finally receiver side it should be decoding format can be enhanced by itself. So coming to the essential functions as we know the framing packets. The packet should be framing and error control systems and flow control management also should be possible maintained by the data link layer and device addressing schemes as well. So this is a smart, simple diagram which explain the how the data should be communicated between this one to another. So this is a network layer. From network layer, data can be communicated through the data link layer and via physical layers, and this is from sender to and receiver side. Both also can be possible to sharing the data with effectively. So coming to the data link layer designs, how should be transferring the data to one to another. So this is one of schematic diagrams. How should be transferred to the one to another, and what are the uh, things we need to consider to the effectively transfer the data. So in the operating the data link layers, all the devices rely on the MAC addresses for effective frames delivery and play a crucial role in the local network communications and across the control. So mainly the MAC address is important to sharing the data in by framing. So in the communications, the switching and bridging and hub routers, these are the devices which will effectively used for the communications of data. So what is the role of switching or switch? So yes, switch is a key device in the data link layer. So as we know, switch generally purpose of using a in the data link layer, it use MAC addresses to forward the data frame to correct the devices within the network, and it works in local area networks to connect the multiple devices. And coming to the role of a bridge connects a two or more LAN, creating a signals and uniform networks as well. So coming to the operation at the data link layer by forwarding the frames based on the MAC addresses and used to reduce the network traffic and segment a network. In third, network interface card. So we simply called NIC. So the role of NIC is a hardware component in a devices like a computer and printer as well. So it responsible for the addressing the MAC addresses to frames and ensuring the proper communications with the networks. It operates at the data link layer by preparing and sending the frames over the physical media from one to another by over the physical media. And coming to the fourth, wireless access point WAP. So we called as a simply called a WAP. It allows wireless devices to connect to wired network. It operates at the data link layer by managing wireless MAC addresses and use of protocols like we use a Wi-Fi to communicate with the device. In the last, layers layers two switches. So these are the special switches that only operates at layer 2, unlike the multi-layer switches, and responsible for the frame forwarding using a MAC address tables. Coming to the note, the data link layer can be targeted by attacks like a MAC spoof, spoofing or ARP poisoning. So understanding how devices and frames operates at the layers helps detect and mitigate such a threats. So coming to the application of data link layer, like a local area networks, it enables the reliable communications between the devices within the local network using protocols like Entrant, Ethernet, like IEEE 802.3, like these are the Ethernet we will use. So coming to the wireless network Wi-Fi, manages the communication between the devices in wireless networks via protocols like IEEE 802.11, like that. It handles media access and error controls. And switches and MAC address. So facilitate the operations of switches by using a MAC address to forward the data frames to the correct devices within the networks and point-to-point connections. So used in protocols like a PPP. So to establish the manage direct communication between two nodes. So these are the application in the data link layers. So coming to the framing techniques in data link layer. So in the framing techniques, the data frames are structured as a packet, like a packet size. It containing a headers and a trailers. So this is a kind of data should be packeted as a header and trailer from sender to receiver that provides essential control information for reliable transmissions. So what is the purpose of framing first? So framing serves several purpose in data link layer. So like it provides a clear boundary between frames for receiver, and it includes the sources and destination address as well. It's enabling the point-to-point communications. Then ensure the error detection and the correction mechanism to ensure the data integrity. So like it includes destination addresses. So where need to go to the data from one to another or via particular person to the particular persons via using a MAC addresses. And while transferring the data, it should be correct format without any error occurs. It should be responsible for the transferring the data by framing. Finally, it allows a reliable and organized transmission of data. So coming to the frame techniques in data link layer, so we like a simple framing technique that uses a count of field to specific frame length. So we need it should be count the field to specific framing length, but vulnerable to the transmission error affect count accuracy. So in that framing techniques, there are two techniques are available. One is a byte stuffing techniques, another is a bit stuffing techniques. Coming to the byte stuffing techniques, it used to prevent the occurrence of specific byte, like a byte stuffing. It used to prevent the occurrence of a specific bytes in the data stream by adding an extra bit. While transferring the data, it should be added as extra byte to well, as a special character as predefined bytes while framing techniques, while framing the data to transferring one to another. So in that cases, the employee special flags characteristics and escape sequence to mark frames boundaries. It ensures the data's transparency and reliable framings. When come to the bit stuffing methods, insert addition of non-information byte or non-information bytes like but strategically to prevent the flag patterns confusion within the data and maintain the framing integrity, then for delimitation, so proper delimitation. Coming to the switching techniques in networks, switching is the purpose of transferring data packets from one devices to another devices in a network, or from one network to the another's using a specific device in the switch. So circuit switching, like different kind of switches, like circuit switching and packet switching and message switching. So there are three categories of switchings are available in the type. In the circuit switchings, the in this type of switches, like a connection is established between this source and destination beforehand. So before going to communicate between the one to another, the connection should be established. These connections receives a complete bandwidth of the network until the data is transferred completely. So before communicating the data, it should be ensured the complete bandwidth of a network until the data transfer completely. So for example, traditional telephone networks with receive bandwidth throughout the communications. So for example, I am the person to talk with someone. Before discuss with someone, need to make a connection between me and with other persons. That's called a circuit switching. So once a connection is enabled, then we I can communicate between the persons and disconnect after the end of the conversations. So this is a smart example of the circuit switchings. Coming to the packet switchings, so divides the data into independent packets that's routed individually through the network to destinations. So the data should be divided into independent packets before going to the transferring one to another's. Because while dividing the packets of data, so the communication should be enabled in very fast manners, and data should be encrypted also. So data to be broken down into small components, data framings while transferring this one. Examples are internet protocols where packets may take different routes to reach the same destination. Coming to the message switching, so router complete the message. So routes complete the message using the stored and forward methodologies through the intermediate network nodes. So coming to the key, like less communication in modern network due to packet switching advantages. So packet switching denominates the modern network architecture due to its efficiency and the flexibility. So this is some a simple diagram which which connected by internet switch, and data should be communicated between this telephone, printer, and server to another one, server to another, and it connected to the laptop or system, gaming, everything can done by connecting the networks. So from this discussions, we can learn like a data link layer reliability, like advanced farming techniques and a control mechanism ensure the error-free, reliable communication between the network and nodes. And switching efficiency, like modern switching methods, particularly packet switching, and determine the optimal data flow path through the complex network infrastructures. And finally, the fundamental knowledge, like mastering these fundamentals layers in absolutely critical for the designing and implementing, then manage the modern network system effectively. So in the next discussion or next lecture, we will focusing on this error detection and correction methods. So what is the error detection and correction? How it should be happens? So in the lecture, we will exploring the fundamental concept in network communication, protocols, and data integrity mechanism. So in error detection correction is a process that ensure the accuracy of data transmitted over the noisy channel by identifying and fixing the corrupted data. So how should be happens? How should be correcting the data? So initially the error detection checks for error using a renderance bit. So we will adding a renderance bit while transferring the data to user for this effective data transmission without any correction occurs. So while corrections goes further by locating the faulted bit and fixing bit. So how should it happen? Like when the data transmitted over the network faces corruption from noisy electromagnet interferences and signal degradations. These disturbance, sorry, this distribution can flip the bits. So while transferring the data from or the networks correction from noisy signals or electromagnet interference or signal degradation, so the data should be corrupted. So this how it should be like the data should be flipped in case of like data bits like a 001 means instead of 1 should be flipped as a 0. So this kind of error should be occur while transferring the one to another. So this flipping bits scrambles messages and causes communication failure. We need to identify and enhance the quality of data transmissions. Coming to the benefits of error detection, like in the data link layer serves as our first line of defense, implementing the sophisticated mechanism to detect and correct the errors. It ensuring the reliable communications across the diverse networks environments. So coming to the causes of fault bit data. What are the causes of fault bit data? So transmission interference like noise and electromagnetic interference during the data transmission can be corrupt the bits. Then physical media degradations. So over the time, the physical storage of data can decay, leading to bit flipping as well. And cosmic ray and radiation. High energy practices can stick the memory cells, causing a bit to flip. And system stresses. So, environmental stresses on equipment can also lead to the fault test results or bit errors occurs. So, these are the four causes of faulty bit while faulty bit data can. So, coming to the types of errors in data transmission, like a single bit error. So, what is a single bit error? So only one bit flip from 0 to 1 or vice versa. Most common in lower noise environment with stable connections where it is so this is a kind of a sender side of data. So while sending the data if the case of low noisy environment with stable connections. The environment should be the stable connection with a less or low noise environment. Only minor data should be flipped from original to sender side. So this is a initial bit of from data shared from sender side. So here only one bit from flip one data should be one bit from byte is flipped to original data. Instead of zero, the one should be here. This data should be flipped as a one. So this we called as a single bit errors. So coming to the multi-bit error, the several scattered bits are corrupted randomly. So here, from the sender side, your data should be transmitted to one to or one to another or sender to receiver. A random data should be flipped. This we called as a multi-bits errors. So instead of one, flipped as a zero. Instead of zero, flipped as a one. This we called as a multi-bits error by random flipping methods. So where it should be occurs. So it occurs particularly in high noisy or high interferences digital environments. So wherever the high noisy environment or high interferences digital environments can be occur in the multi-bits error data transmission. Coming to the third one, burst type error or burst error. So in the burst error, consecutive sequence of bit corrected together. So here, a continuous of bits should be flipped as a, from sender to as a receiver side. So a common in wireless network during the signal fading or interferences spikes environment, it should this kind of error should be occur. Consequence of or sequence of error should be flipped from original to another's after receiving at the environment at the end point of receiver side. So real data and this is the ender side data, receiver side data. So you can see directly. So here's the instant of zero, one should be one should be appeared by flipping and here one and one instead of one and one zero zero as a flip to the receiver side while transmitting in between the sender to and receiver side. Coming to the error detection techniques, what are the techniques are used to finding the error detection methods? So to detect error detection method, it's a common technique to introduce a redundancy bit that provides additional informations. Various techniques for error detection includes what are the techniques like first we need to understand the redundancy bit. So redundancy bit is nothing but uh, from the real time bit we will add an extra bit that we called as a redundancy bit, which used to recalculate at a sender side whether the data should be reliable or non-reliable. So we will discuss one by one. So from that error detection methods, the first we will discuss about this simple party check method. So simple party check method is nothing but we will add one bit at the end of the side. How should be added? Like based on this sum of bits, if the bits should be in the odd number, should be we need to add single number one. If the sum of the bits is even number, should be added as zero. So simple party checks is nothing but a simple error reduction method that involves adding an extra bit to data transmission. Should be like by even or odd counts of ones. From that